All right, we are here. Welcome back to the Liberate podcast. I am your host, Lauren Becker, and today I'm joined by the magnificent Stacey Molengraaf. Welcome, my love. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Lauren. It's wonderful to be here. I've got such this mix of just gratitude and then just excitement for what's gonna unfold.
Yeah, I'm really excited. So for those of you who don't know Stacey is a serial entrepreneur and soulpreneur coach with passion for creating change in the world through business and innovation. And this is one of the things that really struck me with Stacey and her work, and the way in which she delivers it is it's so unique. It's not just the structure and just the foundations and just the business. It is birthed from and through soul, and you can really, really feel that. Now, you have built a business, so 7 years as an entrepreneur, co-founding a business called Soulpreneur and Innovation Institute. I'd really love for you to maybe even share a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for the acknowledgement of what I do and the vision that I have. So I've been an entrepreneur for 7 years, and I had a previous business for 5 years and really learned so much about the journey of entrepreneurship, both on the, as you said, the structural side, the business, the theory, the application of how you take an idea and birth it into a reality. And then also on the side of how do you give yourself the space and the permission to step into birthing something new? And how do you kind of stand behind yourself and back yourself as you go through that process? And so this last 2 years has been about being in a mentorship role. A few of my staff from my previous business went on to open their own businesses and called me into business coaching. And it's been a beautiful journey to be with them and mentor them as I see it, as I hold space for them to then be able to embody their own entrepreneur, and almost to hold the scaffolding so that they have the confidence to climb into this new role and really just birth their vision for the world. So that's where this new business is coming from, and we're actually just preparing to launch the Soulpreneur and Innovation Institute, with really this vision and this intention, because it's myself and Mackenzie that are building it, this intention to do what we have been doing, holding the space for people to connect to their vision, to hold the capacity to see how that can come into the world and support them as they birth it. And not only is that birthing process, builds a thriving business and builds a business that creates impact and change in the world, but also creates healing within themselves as they learn to heal those shadow parts that hold us back from being the entrepreneurs and the innovators that we naturally are and have the capacity to be.
And I would love to know from you, you use the word soulpreneur, and I have heard that quite often. But I would love to hear your interpretation of what that is, because for, people listening, they might be like, am I a soulpreneur? Am I like, I don't know. Yeah. Am I? What do I do?
What is this thing?
Yeah. So I would love to really hear you explain why that word and what it means, and who that is.
I love that. And I so appreciate that, because yeah, words can have so many different meanings. So that there's three parts to it. It's never a simple answer with me. There's three parts. So there's a difference between business owner and entrepreneur. And a business owner is someone who creates a business usually based on an existing idea, an existing model. And their way of kind of bringing that business to the world is to create space in the market by finding their niche within that. Okay. And so that's the mindset of a business owner, is I'm creating this business that already exists, and I'm going to find my niche to bring this to fruition. And for some people, that's the path. That's what they're called to, and there's so much value that they bring to the world by doing that. For other people, there is deeper calling, and they may have started as a business owner, but there's just this yearning in their soul. And I know when I've talked to you before, you have it as well. I know you're an entrepreneur because you have this thing within you that's like, there's more of me to give. There's this vision, and I haven't been able to nail it down yet, but I know that there's this change that I want to create in the world. And so an entrepreneur is someone that looks at the world and they see a problem and they innovate, they create, they disrupt, they make a new solution. And it doesn't have to be a brand new solution. It can be thinking about how to apply concepts from other spaces into this space. But what lights them up is serving in a way, serving people's problems in a way that serves them more, that speaks to them more, that solves the problem in a deeper way. And so that's an entrepreneur. And a soulpreneur is when you add that layer of, I do this service because it comes from the depths of my soul. Because it aches in my soul when I'm not in alignment with this calling. And so the business becomes the external manifestation of the internal journey. And even though it shows up as a business with an offer or a service or a product, it is the evolution of that person's journey. And as they're able to embody their own healing and their own strength and resilience, they're able to bring that through a service or a product that then allows other people to elevate and supports other people in their journey. Whether that's explicit, as it often is in coaching, or whether it's implicit, as it was in my first business, which was dog training, but really it was about teaching people how to be in relationship with other beings. So it doesn't matter what industry you're in. There isn't like a soulpreneur industry. It's a mindset and the way that you show up in the internal compass that you're using.
And do you believe that every human being has this potential?
Yes. Yes. I'm like, yes. Yes. It's like, if you want to talk from the language of ancestry, all of our ancestors are entrepreneurs. At some level, your ancestor was an entrepreneur. It's like our natural birthright to create and innovate and solve and evolve. And one of my missions in coaching, mentoring, is to help people connect and embody that inner entrepreneur, like in your language, Lauren, to liberate that part of herself, because there was a point in history at which we were told we aren't entrepreneurs anymore. Around the 19th century, or around the time that we moved from everyone was a farmer and provided for themselves and kind of came more into this working for big business, we lost our connection to our innate genius, our innate creativity, our innate rebelliousness, our innate service. And we kind of had this belief that, I can't do that anymore. I'm not creative. I hear this from my clients. I'm not creative. I'm not an innovator. I don't understand numbers. I'm not good with marketing. And it's like, those are all skills. That is just a skill, just like learning to cook is a skill. But it is the presence, your ability to back yourself, to give yourself permission to step into those archetypes. That is something that everyone has. And when you activate those parts and you combine that with the knowledge and the skill, anyone can become a soulpreneur in the way that they're called to serve the world.
And how, you mentioned the word liberate before, which I know that we've spoken about before. What is the feeling? What is the result? Why would people choose this path? Why would people choose this?
Yeah, because it's not the easy path. It's, and I see this so much in the coaching space, where there's this narrative of step into a $10,000 month and a $30,000 month and have this lifestyle that you always desired. And I'm like, when has business ever looked that easy?
Yeah.
It's not. It's like choosing to step into business is choosing to back yourself and believe in yourself. And it's a devotion. And why would someone do it? Really, it comes down to that ache in their soul, or Mackenzie would say the itch in the back of their brain is just so strong that it feels so out of alignment to not follow it. It's like a fire in your belly. And when you try and quench it, things just become out of balance and the gears just get harder, and life is a grind. And so there's just this sense of, it's there isn't an easiness in business, but there's at least my fire is here. And I get to burn with the passion of my light and my soul. And there's this calling that's the purpose in my life. And that's worth the climb up the mountain. It's like the ultimate bucket list.
It is the ultimate bucket list. It absolutely is. And I feel like for me, it's like the stairway to heaven, It's like, woo, total stairway to heaven. And it's interesting. I experienced just in my journey with this of, you know, it's not the easiest path, you know, and that was something that you just kind of said was like, it's not easy, and long term, it is the easiest path. Which is so ironic, you know, like it's so easy initially to choose the thing that feeds putting out the fire, the thing that feeds all the other, you know, ways in which we have slowly, I guess, been brought up to live and numb ourselves and switch off. But over time, long term, it really does put out that fire. You know, that fire slowly gets turned down and down and down and down and down until eventually it becomes, you know, maybe not even a spark that is existing. And it's like we're more on track to death than we are to living. Yeah, so I love that.
That just brings up so much for me because, you know, my personal journey, and I find this, that your personal journey parallels your business journey. Right. And it's like, if you're on the path of personal development, you're likely also on the path of soulpreneurship. But there was this turning point in my life where I really didn't want to get into the waves of life. Like, life knocked me around a lot early in life. And I was kind of like, yeah, I'm good to just sit here on the sidelines on the beach because it's safe and I'm not going to get hurt. And I really wanted to stay there, but I cried so much because when you're on the beach, you're not in life. Yes, you don't get the pain, but you don't get the joy. You don't get the pleasure. You don't get the aliveness. So we have this choice in personal life and in business. Are we going to stay on the beach and live a life where we're not in alignment, where we're not in our purpose, where we're just not in the flow of all that life has to offer? Or we get into our boat, and in our business, like the way that we teach business, we talk about the soul map business plan, which is this metaphor and this visual of building a boat from all of these experiences you've had in life and the wisdom that you've kind of gained along the way. And it's terrifying because it's a boat made out of all these scrap parts, and you push yourself into the waves. And that first phase of business is getting over the wake. And it's hard, and many businesses end up back on the beach. But it's like, it's that choice point. Am I gonna live in the aliveness of crashing into waves and building something new and lifting myself up over and over again to find my path to aliveness? Or am I gonna stand on the beach and never feel the waves, the ocean, the mist, never reach the sun and the stars?
I get this image of standing on the beach, watching all the surfers out in the surf, surfing the waves and having the most incredibly enlivening, rich, euphoric time, falling off the waves, getting back on their board and paddling out further and, you know, really being in it. And it's like, which one do we want to be? You know, do we want to stand on the beach, or do we actually want to be in it? Do we want to be in the game and in the richness of the experience of all of that flooding through our being, flooding through our veins? Yeah, I love that.
And I think there's such a beautiful distinction there that you brought of there's this mindset that can go with it, that when we start going into waves, we can hold this mindset of this is hard and I am failing and I'm a failure. But the entrepreneurial mindset is we allow ourselves to settle into it and to expand into it is I am learning, I am growing, I am expanding. And each time I fall down is an opportunity to discover what is not my path so that I can find my path.
I love that you brought that to attention, because I feel like that's something that I personally experienced along my journey. I was like, yeah, cool, awesome. I'm doing the thing. I'm taking courageous steps. I'm choosing to be in. That's it. Great. I'm here. I'm playing the game. And I didn't realize that I had to do that again and again and again and again and again. Like it never stops. That becomes a skill, a muscle that I realized I had to strengthen, a muscle that I didn't even realize I had initially, let's be honest. And the more I'm choosing it, the more I realized it's always innately been in there. It's a part of me. It's my, it's my heart, it's my soul, and the more I choose to say yes and dive in, the stronger it's getting. And the more I just realize that that's just a part of it. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Here's the next piece. Let's do this again. Let's do this again. So I just feel it's really important to highlight that, because getting in and starting and choosing can feel like the biggest step. And initially it can be, and it gets easier and it cultivates and almost, just strengthens over time. Like we get used to doing it and choosing it.
Yeah. To me, that's the inner archetype of the entrepreneur. That's the resilience to keep showing up in service. And then as you connect to that part and you learn that failure can't kill you, and that your fear can't kill you, and imposter syndrome can't kill you, and flop the launches can't kill you, and people rejecting you can't kill you. It's like that inner entrepreneur goes, I know, I've told you the whole time, and I'm here with you as you keep journeying, as you keep innovating. Because much like in life and personal development, as we pull back aspects of our shadow, and not pull them back to reject them, but pull them back to hold them and care for them and learn from them, we have to do the same in our business. When we start looking at every failure as an opportunity to know ourselves, to find out where we're hiding, to find out where we're closing our eyes in our business, to find out where we're projecting who we think we need to be, that's when failure becomes opportunity. And it becomes this beautiful rush, kind of like surrendering to the waves. And you can have that faith that eventually you're going to find the wave that's going to connect you to the universe, to the world. And when you have the capacity to really hold the vision you were meant to bring, it will connect. And that's when your business will go.
Mm. You mentioned about the archetypes. Are there more archetypes? Like, what are the specific? Yeah, that's
Mm,
maybe dig a little into
yeah,
what I talk about.
the way that I see it is, there might be these archetypes that are kind of universal, like the entrepreneur and the innovator. And there's a part of us that's the manager and the doer or the technician. But within each of their systems, there's also all these other parts that show up. In part of building that internal capacity to hold your vision and birth it into the world is feeling into all of those parts and bringing them into one table and bringing them into conversation with each other. So I call it the inner board of directors. It's the child parts and the warrior parts and the sage and the innovator. But for each person, it's different. It's like the scrap pieces of our lives, and all of those pieces have a role in the business. And it's the invitation for them to come together and use higher self or soul or wisdom or universe or God, whatever the word is for you, to be the CEO that allows those board of directors, those internal directors, to work in relationship with each other and show up in the business in a way that elevates the business, you, and your clients.
I'm almost getting this sense with what you're saying is like, the unintegrated parts that perhaps we haven't played so much in, or maybe that we've essentially pushed aside and not deemed as important, are actually in fact where the gold lies, are actually in fact parts that once we bring them in and bring them to the table, then that's where the gold in it all lies. That's where the vision comes to fruition. That's where things really start to come to fruition.
Yes, absolutely. It's the parts of us that we label the shadow parts that we've been fighting our whole lives. Those parts are enormously strong because they're the parts that got us through trauma and heartache and grief and sadness. So they have this innate strength within them. And when we get to know them and we listen to them and we liberate them to choose how they want to show up for their highest purpose, they become the driving forces that allow us to stand with more resonance, more embodiment, more power, more oomph, more heart and humanness in our business. And it's like, without that, it's like you've built this beautiful boat and you're in the middle of the ocean and you've got a megaphone and you're just yelling like, this is the things that I can do and this is my vision and it's beautiful. But you haven't allowed all of your internal crew to show up. So you haven't had the manpower to actually get to an island where people can hear you. So it's like you're just standing there yelling at the universe, but nobody can quite feel or hear you yet until more of your crew shows up, more of your board of directors shows up, and that power allows you to move closer to your audience, to let your message land in them and with them. And that's where the magic in business can come out.
So I'd love to ask you, this is a little bit a little bit unnerving for me, actually. I would love to ask you what you feel like my board of directors are missing.
Okay.
You get a sense of what that is, if there are some pieces with that. Yeah, I also have a second part of this question, which maybe I might get you to answer first. Like, do you feel like it's a consistent bringing the board of directors together? Like, they're never just always fully there and fully moving forward. It's like, oh, okay, so we've gotten this person. And then it's like, we've reached an island. And then over time, it's like, oh, okay, cool. So now we're missing this person. We're missing this person. You know, there's a coming back around. Do you feel like that happens?
My sense is that it is more like the opening of a flower.
Yeah.
And then a step-by-step process.
Yeah.
It's like you come and you butt against something in your business, and then you can feel it in your body. And wherever you feel it in your body is a part. And that part that's blocking you in some way is asking for something, whether it's acknowledgement, wisdom, permission. And so by opening to experiencing the body sensation, the emotion, the words that part wants to say, you can start creating this spaciousness for the part to step into a more aligned role for itself. Whether it was the bully and now it wants to be the advocate, or it was the protector and now it wants to be the adventurer. And so it's this embodied process of opening yourself to discovering what's within you and who's speaking and who needs your leadership. And working within an embodied way, so that then all of those parts, you can almost feel into them. And as you move through the business, you can call on them, you can comfort them, you can talk to them, and you build this team within you that backs you through any situation. I often see it with clients when we start to move into this. It's like they physically start to lean back, and then there's just this vision of a hand coming behind their back and all of these parts coming out behind them, that now they're backed and held by all of their wisdom, by all of themselves. And that they can choose to let this part and this part and this part come together to create music and aliveness and beauty through business.
Beautiful. So yeah, back to my other question. I'd love to so for people who are listening to this, just to share with you what's coming up for me. I feel a little bit nervous because I'm quite proud of there's a sense of pride there. And I feel a little bit nervous about judgment is a piece that comes up for me quite often. And the story that comes online is the story that comes online is receiving this perspective can feel like there's a potential of me doing something wrong. So me doing something wrong is also something that I have had to meet again and again and again within myself and within business. And, you know, this fear of maybe rejection and yeah.
So first, I want to acknowledge your bravery in going there. And if you feel comfortable and safe, then let's just breathe into, it sounds like two parts, the pride and the fear parts. So before we go any further though, let's just connect into that wisest part of yourself. So finding the breath. Just calling upon that part of you that it is the observer, the witnesser, the leader. And whatever word is in alignment for you, highest self or soul, sage or guide. As you feel connected to that part, just start to bring it into the body. And for those of you listening, you can follow along as well, bringing that highest self through the chest and the stomach and into the legs and the feet. And just opening and making space for that wisdom to be embodied.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
So how are you feeling, Lauren? Are you feeling connected to that?
Yeah, I
wisdom?
I just feel my Shakti, my Eros, my passion, my
Beautiful. So with that connection, let's begin to observe the pride. And just beginning to notice where that pride shows up in your body. And if you're able, just sharing some words about where and how you feel
it. I keep forgetting that we're recording rather than visual. That we're audio. Yeah, it's around my heart space, and it feels like this this false layer of protection over my heart. Yeah, it doesn't feel true. It doesn't feel true. It feels like there's a pride there, but there's a deeper sense of pride of in my heart, at the center of my heart it feels true and solid and like it just is, and certain. It's like a certainty, which I guess trails into pride, but the pride is this, what I speak of is this protective layering around my heart of it feels like, yeah, not wanting to feel hurt of where I am already.
Yeah.
But when I sink below that, there is actually this just feels like an inner certainty more so.
So as you're connecting to this pride, there's this feeling of layers of protection. And you, through your wisdom, can connect to that underneath part that is solid and confident and more spacious. So how does this, if we just come out of cognitive and go into body, how does it feel in the body when you have that protection from the pride around your heart?
I feel shakeable.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there.
Yeah. So coming from that place of highest self, can you look towards this pride and this fear? And how do you feel towards them?
So it feels, as I've just that acknowledgement and the breath into my heart and into this area, it feels like it's just like gently dissolving. Almost like there's a sense of acknowledgement and allowance.
So that highest,
yeah.
Sorry, keep going.
Yeah. It's just like, this like part of me that's like, oh, that's how you feel.
Yeah.
Compassion. Yeah.
This acknowledgement, this compassion from the highest self towards this fear and this protective pride. Almost see this sense of the highest self just cradling both in its arms, bringing it to its chest and just hugging it. I see you. And as you feel into that energy, can you ask that pride, what's its deepest calling? What's its purpose? What's it really trying to do to serve you? And if you're able, just to allow that part to give words to its experience.
Yeah, so it's the true part of my heart out into the world. It feels like I almost see this like this warrior standing at the gates of my heart, as if it is directing the purity of what's inside of this castle of my heart out into the world, of where it's safe to go, where it's safe to direct, when it's safe to come out.
Yeah. So this warrior, it sounds like it's the gatekeeper, the protector to your heart.
It's quite beautiful, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It is. It's what are your words here for what does it really want in protecting you? How is it trying to serve you?
It's trying to honor my heart.
Yeah.
Just serve my heart.
Yeah.
It's like I've got this, I just see this like queen sitting in the castle of my heart, and this like gatekeeper just as a servant on the outside. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Oh my God. Oh. Oh,
feels like you're connecting into that queen.
Oh, I'm just feeling so much aliveness pulse through my body right now. Whew.
So let's ride the energy of that queen. Just pull into her, embody her. Beautiful. Intuitively, is there a sense that this queen knows the warrior and is in communication with the warrior, or is there a gap, a divide between them?
No, they're just so, no, they're so loving. They're so loving together. She trusts him so much. But she also has, yeah, she's still, you know, the one who delivers, but she also has a deep trust. Yeah. Yeah.
So there's this beautiful relationship between the queen and the gatekeeper, and this trust and this openness. And what's the queen's purpose? What is she here to do?
Just to serve the people, to love humanity. Yeah, I see her going out into the world and just touching all the hearts and the faces of humanity. I'm loving them. Yeah, she's just so here for the people.
She sounds like she's the embodiment of your heart. One that will love and care and give and serve with a strength and a wisdom.
Mm.
What about the fear? Where do you feel the fear?
There's my tailbone and my womb.
So let's connect to highest self and bring that acknowledgement and compassion to the fear in the tailbone and the womb. No expectation of shifting, no need to release. Just that permission to be acknowledged and witnessed. And how's the self, the highest self, feel towards this fear?
It just feels like it's a part of the process. It feels like, you know, almost just like another piece that has arisen along the way to, yeah, it's like as I walk this stairway to heaven, it feels like this, you know, this other little piece that I find with each step that I take towards that. So it's like kind of just like, oh, okay, this is here.
It sounds like you're holding this permission for it to be here. And I wonder if either from your wisdom or from this part that is fear or experiencing fear, if there's a sense of its purpose, how it wants to serve you.
It almost feels like there is this this like locked up power inside of it, and it feels so big. It feels like just this it feels really powerful. And the fear is, oh, what is that? When I feel like I unlock that energy in my body, how do I feel that? How do I let myself feel that amount of stuff feeling? Like that's a big feeling, essentially.
Yeah. So let's step into highest self and just create some spaciousness to witness the potential of that power. Doesn't need to unlock if it's not ready to yet. You can give it permission to if it's ready. Come from that place of just witnessing acknowledging, breathing into the power that's locked in with that fear.
It's like the only way that I can use to describe it is like the biggest orgasm that I could ever experience. It feels like it's that big that it would blow me apart. Like blast me open. Oh. Oh. It feels wild. Oh.
So this sense of joy, pleasure,
Yes.
aliveness.
Oh God. Like complete intoxication. Whew. Wow.
What does that part, if you can allow it to have a voice, what does it want from the system right now?
Ah. Just move.
Wants to move.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you give it permission and space to move?
Mm. Ah. 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 Mm. Oh.
Does it feel called to say or interact in any way with the gatekeeper and the queen?
Mm. Yeah, it just feels like there's this like a free, like a river, a free flowing river. Between the two. Feels like the river to, it's almost like the image that I get is like jumping in the boat to go down to humanity, to go to the community, to go to the river that will take you to there. Yeah.
So you have the gatekeeper, which holds and protects you, and there's this innate trust in its safety and wisdom. And the queen, who's the embodiment of your heart and the delivery of your heart to the world. And by holding space and acknowledging and accepting that fear is part of your journey, you move into this aliveness that has created the river. that it sounds like can connect the gatekeeper and the queen to humanity. To allow the queen to bring her message, to bring her embodiment and her wisdom and her love and her aliveness and pleasure and liberation to humanity. Is that resonating? Is that landing?
Yeah. I've had, I don't really feel like I have words.
Okay, let's just flow in that energy then, even just staying with that visual of seeing the gatekeeper beside the queen, flowing through the river and just embodying that, bringing the message, bringing the embodiment, the liberation to the people. Giving yourself permission to, as your body can hold the space for it, expand into that reality.
I just feel so much pleasure moving through my body. I feel like I'm fast. It literally feels like I'm going to burst.
As I feel it reaching me, there's such a gentleness to it, like a strength, but just this gentleness, this permission to be in my femininity or my feminine energy, to be in pleasure and eros, and to be in connection with you.
It's beautiful.
It very much feels like a tickle.
Oh, it's definitely a tickle.
I love it.
Yeah, it I just really want to thank you for that. That's the medicine of Stacey, everyone.
Yes.
You know what, one of the things that I feel that I've been meeting time and time again, and that I actually feel also the world is this permission to allow more of the good stuff, permission to feel this good, permission to have this much pure life force energy running through our body. Feels like it almost wants to blow all of my switches, you know? Yeah, I feel like I'm creating this reference point in my nervous system again and again and again and again to let it flood through and to be totally safe in its full capacity. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love this work because it, to me, is what you're saying. It's this using metaphor and imagery and embodiment and somatics to allow us to create reference points in our nervous system for when we're leaning into a part of ourselves that doesn't feel integrated yet or doesn't feel acknowledged, and also for how it feels as we acknowledge it and as we let it move in the way that it most wants to move. And there is so much power and energy and just all the light switches blowing up
Yeah,
when we're able to do that.
totally. We're literally having to prime our nervous system for this energy to run through it, you know? And I just love that. Oh gosh, golly, golly, gosh. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lauren. Well, and thank you for giving yourself permission to step into that vulnerability and allow people to witness you in that journey.
Yeah. And that was one of the pieces, you know, like it's the, you know, I feel like this is, yeah, you know, being on, like, people are going to be listening to this. What are they going to think?
Yep.
What are they going to think of me? Yeah, gosh, nothing like going into the fire, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything that you would love to share before we close down?
I think it's just to say that all the parts within us really are trying to serve us and love us and care for us. And that we have this beautiful invitation to build a relationship with them and be that unconditional, loving parent that allows them to become who they're capable of being, so that in personal life or business, we can show up more embodied in our truest selves and our deepest calling.
Beautiful. And for everyone who's listening, you know, I just feel that this is such a beautiful example of, we talk about structure and we talk about work and we talk about the foundations, and it just goes to show that there is an integration of, in order for us to fully embody the business, the soul aligned life, the, you know, whatever it is that we desire to have in our life, it has to involve the feeling as much as it has to involve the structure, and vice versa. And this is one of the things that I adore about you and your work, is the way in which you not only embody this for yourself, Stacey, but you also integrate the emotions into business. And the combination of that is what I deeply feel creates the sense of safety and trust to not only journey into the soul, but also then to bring that essence and truth and purity of that love out into the world. So thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for sharing with the world your unique essence, and thank you for sharing with us today. There's so much more that I want to dive into, but I feel like we get to have another conversation about it, because there's so much more that I didn't feel like we didn't get to cover that I want to. But yeah, I just really want to say thank you so much for joining and sharing your wisdom and your magic. And for anyone who wants to connect in with Stacey further, her details will be in the show notes, so you can really, yeah, I really invite you to connect in with her. Just ask her questions, have a chat with her. She's so approachable, as you can see.
I love questions. And thank you for the opportunity to be witnessed in my soul's calling. And that this is my soul's journey to hold space as other people journey into themselves. And I just so greatly appreciate the opportunity to do that with you and with your audience. So thank you. And to all of you, please don't hesitate to reach out. I am a chatterbox and I love chatting, and happy to talk with anyone that feels called to.
Yeah, so beautiful. Thank you, lovely.
Mm.